No headphones today, Lyle?
Beg your pardon?
No headphones today?
No, the audio seems to have, with a reboot, both the audio and the video seem to be working, so.
Excellent. Yeah, people are streaming in fast and furious here.
Morning.
Hopefully not
And
furious.
Morning.
Joe and Wayne.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Roy, Rachel,
Morning,
Amy,
all.
Morning.
Dennis.
Rachel, that sun in your eyes.
I know. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
You got blinds?
No, I don't.
Well, Mike DeRoche is going to be joining this call.
I might
Blind
have
man.
to.
You mean the blind man?
Yes, the king.
Blind man. I may choose to sit elsewhere.
Need some sunglasses.
Yeah.
Future
Well,
so
it's
bright, you
nice.
gotta wear shades.
It's nice normally because this is my desk and I get to look outside. So,
Yeah.
but it's not nice right now.
Made it a point of actually getting all my backyard together so I could sit outside and do work out there.
Good.
Tired of being inside.
I've got to rearrange my our bedroom because it's going to be my quarantine location. Tori's going to relocate when I get back from Vegas, so I've got to make the bedroom look respectable for Zoom meetings when I return.
So when are you heading down,
I guess
Steve?
the States is like, there's no
Sat-
pandemic at all. I guess they're just business as usual down there.
Saturday, Wayne, I head out on Saturday and then come home on the 11th. And Joe, you're a little bit right. Like they're opening up, but everyone I talk to and very nearly everyone I'm going to interact with has had their second shot. Certainly everyone in the gaming industry in Vegas has had both shots now. And vast majority of the service industry too. So it's.
Yeah, from what I gather though, you can still, I mean, maybe I'm getting into territory, I don't know, but from what I gather, you can still get it, but you just don't have any symptoms, right? So you could pass it on to somebody who is unvaccinated.
Which is why I need to quarantine when I get home.
Yeah.
You know what I found actually the other day? I think it was on Amazon that I saw it, Steve. It's a device that fits on the back of your chair with elastics, and it's a big green piece of material, so to speak.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And then you can put your background, your virtual background to whatever it is, so it blocks out everything else. It's another suggestion.
Could do
It's an
that. Could do
alternative.
that. Although I'm going to have lots of time on my hands when I'm home, so making the who knows? Maybe I'll redo the bedroom while I'm locked in there.
I could just throw a sleeping bag in that room you're in.
I could do that, although the bathroom situation gets a little bit rough.
Steve?
Yep.
Steve, will you not be able to get the second dose when you're down there?
Well, they're not. So I'm Gen X, right? And most of us got the AstraZeneca. But I tell you what, if they come out up here and say, hey, instead of the second dose of AstraZeneca, you should get Pfizer or Moderna, I will be the first guy at a clinic in Las Vegas paying for it to get in my arm. So yes and no, right?
It looks like that's going to be okay. All indications are that you're going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Listening to interviews and stuff. I wonder, does it work the other way? Like, we're going to be awash in AstraZeneca. I had my Pfizer a while ago, but I'm not due the second dose until July. If somebody says, go ahead and take an AstraZeneca as your second dose.
I don't think they're going to do that, Joe. I don't think that's a realistic scenario, to be perfectly honest. I'd sooner finish off the AstraZeneca thing. I don't have any doubts in it. You know, it's protected the United Kingdom quite well, thank you, right? So I'd sooner finish off with that.
Yeah, and they're saying
They're saying if you didn't really have any strong reactions to the first dose, you're very, very unlikely. It's like 1 in a million to have a reaction to the second dose. So
Exactly.
Even higher than 1 in a million. I think it's like 1 in 2.5 million or something like
Yeah.
that. It's
All right.
Pausing the use of this is ridiculous.
It's crazy. If Ford hadn't lost the election already, this is going to blow it for him. It doesn't make any sense, and that they're going to let 50,000 doses expire. That's criminal. Right? It is seriously criminal.
yeah, when so many people in the world are crying out for vaccines and we're sitting on them.
Yeah. You know what I read the other day, or heard the other day, was that you've more chance of getting a blood clot on a flight to Mexico than you do with the AstraZeneca dose. Like, just get it.
Oh, thanks, Linda. I guess that's it for me. I'm not going back.
Yeah, there you go, Mike.
It does show you
I better change my screen.
Media, though, that's for sure.
Okay, well,
I was with a customer last week, and she got when I was there, she got a text from Health Canada saying, we've moved your second vaccine from July up to May, like this week.
Really?
Yeah, I've talked to 2 people that's happened to this week. Right, so it's.
Hope for the same here. Yeah, I got a call. I'm getting my second tomorrow.
Is that with a Pfizer dose or is that an AstraZeneca?
Pfizer.
Well, okay. I'm supposed to get Pfizer in July. Maybe they're going to move me up.
Well, that's what I'm hoping too.
Great.
Got Billy signed up for his shot, so the 18-year-olds opened up, so that's good.
Very cool.
That's a great question for the group because my oldest one is 12 this year, and they said that 12-year-olds can get it, and I have a very strong adverse reaction to that. Kids who are healthy, who don't have any immunocompromised systems, who don't have any health, concerns. I don't know that they should really be getting it and getting the same dose that a grown-up is getting.
Of course they should. They should.
Well, they can pass it on to somebody. They may not have reactions themselves, but they can pass it on.
None of us had polio when we got our polio shots when we were kids,
Tell you what, Vivian at 15, she's going to jump at the chance to get it, and we'll push her as she's jumping.
Same with my 15-year-old.
All right, so here we are at 7:35. There's a nice little chat to kick things off with. Welcome, everyone. I see we have Peter. Welcome, Peter, as a guest, and very soon to be a full-fledged Rotarian. And we have got our speaker, Darlene, on, who's going to have a more fulsome introduction shortly. I don't have my drink for the toast, so I'm going to pretend to hold up a glass off screen here to Her Majesty, to the Queen, to Canada, and to Rotary International.
To Rotary
International.
And as we've started to do here, we'd like to offer a land acknowledgement. We'd like to acknowledge that here in Bowmanville, we're on the territory covered by the Williams Treaty, and that this land is the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Scugog Island First Nation. We offer our gratitude to the Indigenous peoples for their care of the land, their teachings about our earth and our relations. And over to our incoming president, Amy Barney, for our invocation.
Morning, all. So I've edited this slightly to make it a little more relevant. With our friends virtually beside us and no person beneath us, with our bonds of Rotary between us and our worries behind us, with our goals before us and no task beyond us, with a thirst for knowledge and a dream of a COVID-free world, we are thankful for our Rotary friends and the time we are about to share together.
Excellent, thank you, Amy. That ties in well with our little conversation at the start. So
yeah, good.
Excellent. Pauline, birthdays and anniversaries. Do we got any? You're muted, Pauline.
President Steve, we have absolutely no birthdays unless, John, close your ears. because this rarely happens, but unless I'm wrong, we have no birthdays. We do have 2 wedding anniversaries to celebrate. Dennis and Karen are having an anniversary this week, and so is Mike DeRoche and Pam. So congratulations on your wedding anniversaries.
Congratulations to both of you.
And then service to Rotary, Johanna is celebrating 4 years as a Rotarian, and Doug is celebrating 2 years. So thank you for your service.
Wow. Is it just 2 years, Doug? Wow, it's Doug on.
Yep.
There he is.
Why does it seem like longer, Steve?
Yeah, dealing with
I have that
Doug.
effect on people.
Everyone knows how hard Doug is to deal with.
It's like we've known him forever.
Exactly. All right. Moving on to our speaker, Johanna. Would you like to introduce?
Yes. Yeah, so I've known Darlene Spratley now for about 5 years. Our husband's been our friends for about 30 years. Darlene and her husband Rick actually live in Newtonville, so just a short distance away. They're still kind of local to us. But Darlene is not only a former employee of, I think, the town of Whitby, if I recall, but she has her own business right now. And I'm going to say it's a roving gardener, but she might correct me on that. But she's always given me excellent gardening advice, has amazing grounds on her property. And so when we talked about having some unique and different speakers to our club, I naturally thought of her. So I'd like her to take the floor and give us her synopsis, I guess, and her talk about gardens and gardening in general. Darlene, where are you? I think I saw your face.
Can you hear me? Because I am new to this Zoom, so I'm a gardener, not a Zoomer. Can you hear me?
Sure
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Well, hello, you early rising Rotarians. I'm Darlene, the traveling gardener, and I don't think I've been up this early since I retired 5 years ago, and it even confused my dogs. But anyway, I'm just going to talk a bit about my retirement gardening business and to inspire you, because there's so much to do when you retire, but also a little bit about gardening. So a little bit about myself. I did work for the town of Whitby for 32 years in the clerk's department and the Parks and Recreation department. And I worked 7 years at the Renfrew County School Board in the Ottawa Valley. And yes, I am a Valley girl. I grew up with Polish parents, so gardening has always been in my blood. But my dad never believed in flower gardens. He said you couldn't eat flowers. Well, today I think that has changed. But anyway, I just loved gardening with my parents. We had huge gardens, and I like, because of COVID, I think we are going back to the basics, which I'm really happy about. So I retired when I was 57, and I took a year off and thought, what should I do? And I didn't want to work in the office anymore because I had done that for 40 years. So I started to putter in my friends' gardens. And then one day, my daughter Holly said, Mom, why don't you start your own business? And I said, well, who's going to pay me to garden? And she said, Mom, you're doing it already for free. So she says, why don't you garden? So she's my marketing graduate, university graduate. So she developed, I don't know if you can see my little logo. It's my logo. Can you see that? Darlene, it's the traveling gardener, Johanna. It's anyway. So she made me up some business cards, and I just went down to the No Frills in Newcastle and put a few cards up. And the next morning I had a call right away, and it was a beautiful heritage house in Newcastle. I was so nervous, but I was fortunate. Catherine, the owner, was just amazing. And she really inspired me to continue. So today I have probably over 40 clients, but they're all at different stages in their garden and in their lives. Of course, most of my clients are seniors, but I do have the busy working people. I do have a lot of people that love their gardens but just hate gardening. So anyway, it makes it fun. I try and stay in Durham region. I have gone to Scarborough and Stouffville. But I do like to stay local, and there's more than enough gardens to keep me busy. So a little bit, some gardening tips. Like I said, I am a gardener, and most of my work is maintaining gardens. I'm not a garden designer, but I know what I like, and I know about balance in the garden. And I have a lot of good friends that can assist when I need some advice. So I thought I would just share a few tips with you. First off, if you have an existing garden, it is more challenging. Especially, I know I've had a lot of people that are moving, and the owners had magnificent gardens, and then young couples go in and they're totally overwhelmed. So often they let it go a year or two with good intentions, and that's where I usually come in and help them clean it up. And I'm hoping that once I do the cleanup, that they can maintain it after that. So existing gardens are more challenging. New gardens are easy. And just like with real estate, location is everything. Make sure you decide where you want that garden, the lighting, the size. And one of my key tips is keep it simple. Don't try and compete with your neighbors, just keep it simple. Low maintenance plants, and then you'll be able to maintain it. And know your zone, of course. We're about a zone 5. But if most nurseries locally here wouldn't sell you something that probably wouldn't suit our area. And that's another great resource is our local nurseries. We have so many in the area. If you Google, you will see in Clarington, and it's beautiful to go out in the country. We have a great one right around the corner from me. It's the Crooked Creek Gardens. She has turned her whole front lawn into probably 100, 150 hostas. So you can actually look at the species and then just buy it. And it's great to see them right in the garden. So that's Crooked Creek, right around the corner, great place. But there's so many, the Garden Path and Wreckers. And when you go to these places, the staff are amazing. Some of the younger ones are just learning, but the staff are amazing and they will help you. So that support local for sure. The other thing people often ask me about is mulch and weeds. Mulching is great. Half my clients love it, half don't like it. I try and encourage you to use the natural cedar, although everyone wants that black mulch because it looks amazing. Well, it just, when I lay it, my hands get black. So you know that there's a lot of heavy dyes in it. There is a brown mulch that's better, but the natural mulch is really the one you should be using. One little tip, if you have a garden that has aggressive weeds, a lot of people put the black weed barrier. I don't encourage that anymore. Most of my clients hate it now. We're going to use the cardboard and then just put your mulch right over it. That can even be for 1 year, and then at least it kills those aggressive weeds that we all have to deal with. The other thing I think when you're gardening is, and that's where I often come into play, is your spring and fall cleanups. Very important. It's just like your house when you do your spring cleaning or your fall cleaning. You know, especially if you do a good fall cleanup, then your spring, there really isn't much to be done. So that is very important in gardening. You know, everyone says, oh, I don't know anything about gardening, but another tip is now there are so many groups like on Facebook you can join. I'm a member of a lot, and there's for every plant that you want, like there's the hosta group, there's the peony group. So if you have a passion for certain plants, a lot of people are now going into native plants or ponds. There's a group for everything and great support. And I think that is really what helps a lot of the new gardeners. And of course, YouTube and Pinterest are amazing. YouTube can show you everything. I built some great, my husband built some great raised garden beds, and we watched the video on how to fill them and build them, and it's just amazing. So, you know, there is support out there, even if you're new. And my biggest tip, and to end off the talk, is don't let the garden stress you. It should be a place that you can go out. It's therapeutic. Get out and enjoy that sunshine, that vitamin D, and just enjoy the garden. And I guess if you love your garden and you need help, well, then there's people like me out there that can help you. So thank you for having me. It was really fun, and I have to do now another talk for another group. So this has been a great trial for me. So thanks again, and thanks you, Hannah, for asking me.
Well, Darlene, your opening, your entry into your talk rang true, because we moved into our house and the gardens were beautiful. Listen, they're still pretty darn nice, but they were something else, and it stressed us out a fair bit trying to keep them up to that level. I may, who knows, may reach out to you sometime soon and get a little bit of advice for my wife and I. That's good marketing right there.
Okay.
Does anyone have any questions for Darlene? Mike DeRoche. And then Linda.
Hi, Darlene. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Tell me, what do you think of Ed Lawrence? Is he a potting charlatan, or do you think he knows what he's talking about?
Well, I don't really know a lot about him, but you know what? There are people that think they know everything, and then make it up. I have a brother-in-law that he comes across that he knows everything. I'm not sure. I mean, we all have our experience with certain things, and that's something I'm not going to comment on.
Fair enough.
Okay.
All right. Linda, you were next.
Hi, Darlene. I have to tell you, I've been hanging on every single word you said, because I'm not a gardener. I come from a family of 3 girls, and that was my father's domain, and he never really taught us anything. But you know, I love going to the garden centre, and I went to Whitskey's last week, and I was so overwhelmed, I just left, because I don't know what to buy. So I really need to get your phone number. I'll come and get you in Newtonville. I have a tiny wee garden. I just need somebody to give me some advice, you know?
Yes, and that I do have actually yesterday. I'm a member of the Provis Club, and and one of the ladies, she loves to garden, and she's in a newer place too, and that's what she said. So I happened to be in she lives by the Loblaws and that, so I just popped in, and that's all she needed was a little guidance and some suggestions, and then I wanted her to look at Pinterest. Like, she had a totally shade garden, so if you go on like Pinterest and put in shade garden, then she had all these plants that are available.
Okay.
The other thing that I recommended to her and to you, I don't know how full your garden is, but she needs a lot of new plants. Try to, don't spend money on a lot of small plants in the containers. Go for a bigger plant because it takes so long for those little ones to grow, and people get frustrated because they keep saying, oh, they don't, it'll take 3-4 years. Spend a little bit more money, buy a bigger plant, and then the rabbits won't go after it as well.
Okay.
Yeah, because you just get, like, she had bought these little Shasta daisies, and I mean, it's going to take her probably 5 years to have anything. So I do encourage people. I know the bigger pots are more expensive, especially during COVID. And your other resource is your friends. Like, hostas divide so easily. This lady, she has 6 hosta plants. We'll probably get about 24 because they're so big. And that's nice when you have friends that you can swap with too. But for sure, anytime, people just, message me. I do have the Traveling Gardener on my Facebook site, and you can message me, and when I'm in the area, I'll just pop over and just give you a few pointers for sure.
I love it. I would love you to come. Okay. I live in Wilmot Creek, so
I already have two clients there.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll message you.
I was just going to say to everybody, I have large plants, so whoever wants to divide at the end of the year, you just let me know.
Okay.
Yeah, It is better to divide. You can still divide now. It's just we've got this hot weather, but the best is like early spring or in the fall, you know, because you don't want them to be stressed too much. If we're going to have a summer like this with this heat, it's, you know, a lot of on them. So anyway, for sure.
I see
Okay.
Thanks.
I see Lyle's hand. Lyle.
It was just, you mentioned earlier about rabbits. And we've had an issue with them eating off the hosta as they're just coming up. And I don't know where my wife found the information, but she's been shredding Irish Spring soap in among the hosta. And it's working quite well, actually. There's been very little damage being done by the rabbits recently. So it seems to be working.
That's interesting because you know what? I read that too, and I picked up the soap last week. I haven't had any in my garden this year. I don't know. We live in the country, so there are coyotes and we have cats and dogs around. So that's interesting because I like to pass on tips to a lot of my clients. So thank you. It sounds like it's working. Good.
It appears to be working, yes.
That's a great tip, Lyle, because the rabbits have decimated my burning bushes this year and all my phlox.
Really? Phlox?
Like I'm ready to make rabbit stew.
I know.
Well, actually, the other thing we've started doing is when I start getting bare patches in the lawn, I'm overseeding with white clover. And the rabbits enjoy the white clover, so it gives them something else to attend to. So
that's smart.
Good. Good.
Don, did I see your hand up? You're muted, Don.
Sorry. Darlene, looking at planting some creeping thyme as ground cover on the property, is it as hardy as I read about, and will it spread fairly quickly?
I do have some at the front by my walkway. It's not an aggressive spreader. Mine has done well. Maybe the first year or two you plant it, maybe mulch it or cover it over with leaves, you know, until it really gets established. Most plants are like that. The first winter will be hard on them, but mine has survived, and I'm in Newtonville, so it's a little bit colder up here, so for sure.
Okay, thank you.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
I see Joe's hand.
Yeah, hi, Darlene. I don't know if you know anything about lawns, but we have one lawn where I think it came from a garden because I see the same one in the garden. It's a vine, and the vine has grown right into the lawn, and we just can't get it out. And year after year, it gets big, more and more of the lawn. I've tried everything. Do you have any suggestions?
And it's probably creeping Charlie.
I don't think it's creeping Charlie. I've taken a look, but it's not creeping Charlie. It's something something vine, dog eating vine.
It sounds like bindweed, Joe.
Weed?
Bindweed.
And how do you get rid of it?
Oh, it is extremely hard, let me tell you. Because it travels through the whole lawn. My daughter has it. She put new sod down, but there were still roots in the soil, and now it's full of that stuff again.
Yeah, well, okay.
Those like creeping Charlie, the bindweed, any of them, they're very, very, you know, and they don't sell. I mean, none of us want to use a chemical, but when I worked at the town of Whitby, the grass maintenance guy said you need that, like it's like a broadleaf, I guess, herbicide. That's something like the golf courses used to use, but they don't really sell that anymore. Some people still, they get it from the States. I don't know. They get it from Amazon. They've told me. But I know this year, a lot of people have called me about even the creeping Charlie. It's so bad. And even my husband's trying, we're in the country, so we have like an acre, but I'm trying a new, all these recipes are on Facebook. They say you can make borax with hot water.
I tried the borax,
Nothing works for bindweed.
There you go. Thank you.
They do say that you try and keep a really overseed healthy lawn.
I'm trying that. I'm trying that this year. See what happens.
Just don't stress, and you have to live with it. That's
you
all
go.
you.
If that's the worst thing that happens in my life, that's okay.
But that's right. That's
I see Steve Burnett's hand.
Darlene, when you come into the creek to see Linda, bring Rick and drop him at the house.
Excellent. That's excellent. Well, this was really informative. You may have picked up a couple of clients, Darlene.
May and June always busy, but I'm here for advice for sure.
We always have a certain amount of garden-related stress.
I know we do.
We know what to do.
Right.
Well,
okay.
On behalf of the club, thank you so much for joining us. You're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the session. We've got interesting things going on, but we understand that you might need to get out into the garden.
And I have to put my dogs out because they're up early. So anyway, but thank you. It was really nice. I was really nervous, and the Zoom, it was easy. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome back anytime. Thank you, Darlene. Well, that was pretty interesting. Do we have any happy bucks? Amy.
I have 5 happy bucks. I have a very sore shoulder because I got my Pfizer on Sunday. Funeral directors are finally on the list. And yesterday, Hannah got a job offer and is going to work at the summer camp that I went to, my dad went to. So happy she got a job. Sad she's going to be gone for 7 weeks this summer, but it's all good.
Excellent news. I saw that they were opening up those sleepover camps. That's great. John, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I've got 10 sad bucks. A dear friend passed a few days ago, Jan English, which some of you know because she went to our church. But a very dear friend, she will be missed.
That was sad. She had a long fight there. Yep. Anyone else with happy bucks? Steve.
I received 10 happy bucks from a grocery client. I did my last shopping last week for the lady, and she gave a $10 donation to Rotary.
Lovely. Thank you, Steve. Okay. Moving on then. It's career day today. We're going to be learning about Don Gleed with the help of Mike DeRoche. Over to you guys.
You ready, Don?
I'm ready, Mike.
Okay, well, Don Gleed is one of our longstanding Rotarians. He's a stellar community member and business kingpin, I guess, in Clarington. We wanted to concentrate maybe on the auto mall. I think there was a lot of interest in that, Don. So I know in 2002, you and I think a couple of your partners had this vision for an auto mall in our community. And why did you think that that would be a good idea?
Well, I was looking to, I made an application to Toyota for a dealership. And in the application, I had to let them know where I would locate it. And in talking with, my initial thought was I wanted to be on Highway 2, where there was far more action, it seemed. But it was clear in very short order, the town had no appetite for car dealerships along Highway 2. And so that was kind of off the table. So in looking around, I saw the property at the corner of Baseline and at the time Waverly Road, which was an old nursery. Many of you will remember that it was I think a garden center or nursery or whatnot. And it was held by the HSBC Bank and receivership. So it was for sale. And it looked to me like an ideal location for a mall. It was certainly much bigger than I would need for my use alone. But I knew if Toyota was going to go and move into Clarington, the other manufacturers would follow, because at the time there was only representation from Cowan Pontiac and Roy Nichols and Curtis. So I knew that other manufacturers would follow, and auto malls are in our business, as much as it sounds, many people always say, why do you want competitors right next door? But when you can become a destination for car shopping or for any kind of shopping, and it's certainly proved in the big box environment as well, that it's always easier for people to come to one spot and get everything looked after instead of having to travel to different locations. So they make good sense. And when you can put them into an area where we have a lot of tractor trailers offloading product, cars and whatnot, and to be on a busy road is always problematic for them. So when they can come into a mall scenario and unload, it's much easier as well. So it seemed to me that it was the size of the property was 29.5 acres, which after building roads and whatnot gave us about 22 buildable. And it just seemed like an ideal location at the corner of highway, on the corner of the 401 there. So that's how that kind of started. And at the time, the mayor was John Mutton, and John was extremely aggressive in wanting this. He referred to it as a gateway site. And one of his requests was that would we try and save one lot at least for a hotel, because he wanted a hotel. So we put that in our plan, our business plan, and we were successful in selling about 3.8 acres to a group that built the Holiday Inn, and at the time they were going to do a hotel convention center, which really kind of excited the town council. And unfortunately, the conference center aspect of it never really got legs, and subsequently Holiday Inn sold off half their lot to a fellow who's from Scarborough, who owns it now, and his hope is one day to put a Subaru dealership in there, which would be good. And of course, now we have 2 hotels and soon to be 3 hotels on the property, which was a bit of a surprise for me. But I already sold all the lots off, so I had no more control over it. But anyway, we just you're all aware we got the new Hyundai dealership built in there in the last year and opened up recently. So it's pretty much all full now. There is I guess three lots unbuilt on at this point in time, but they're all have a plan for development right now. Of course, with the situation we're in, I think probably the owners are a little reluctant to start anything further, but it's worked out well, and I think it's certainly, we're all very visible down the highway. So I hoped to have been able to move Cal and Pontiac down there before they did their renovations, but they weren't interested and whatnot. We don't have any representation from any of the traditional Detroit 3, but we have good representation in the Korean and Japanese manufacturers. So it's worked out pretty well, I think, and I'm pretty happy with it. We sold out all the property many years ago. I guess I started selling it in 2004, and it was, every lot was gone by about 2007 as far as we were concerned, and we dissolved our partnership from the real estate after that. I got quite an education because I never having done land development in my life before, it was it was a painful experience to realize how much money goes underground and overground. The land was cheap in comparison to the cost to develop, so that was an interesting and quite an eye-opener, but all worked out in the end, and there we are.
Well, Don, you answered most of my questions. So
Sorry,
now,
Mike.
in my research, though, for this piece, I did uncover on the dark web a conspiracy theory that you had tried to buy out Ted Watson and convert those bucolic strawberry fields of his into the concrete jungle that is, of course, an auto mall. Any truth to that?
Yeah, he was a scrapper. He fought back hard on that deal. So yeah.
Right on. I was also going to comment, but you answered already, that there are none of the big 3 American manufacturers represented in the auto mall, and because you were a Ford dealer before, weren't you?
That's right. Yeah, I don't know why I'm really not sure. They're very market representation for all these manufacturers is crucial. And I guess I'm somewhat surprised that Ford never or Chrysler never showed any interest. And to this day, I don't think they really have had much interest that I understand. They have representation for Ford in Oshawa, and then in Coburg, and of course in Whitby as well. And then Chrysler, of course, is on in Oshawa, and again out in I think there's 2 dealerships out in Port Hope and Coburg area. So they probably feel that's enough. And as a dealer, I respect that decision, because I certainly wouldn't want another Toyota dealership real close to me either. So it's
right.
I respect the decision, but if you look at Clarington and the growth that's going on in our community, it really is surprising that they ended up located there.
And Don, any possibility of a high-end manufacturer, a Tesla, maybe you with Lexus, anything like that coming?
No, I don't think the Lexus ship sailed because they've got Lake Ridge and it's their market share is quite small in the big picture, and so they're pretty well represented at Lake Ridge, and then again out in Kingston. So they feel that market's covered off. Tesla is of course owned except in the U.S. All the dealerships in Canada are owned by Tesla, so they don't franchise out that product. Mercedes-Benz is well covered in Whitby. So I think most of the high-end guys are covered for the next little while, and I doubt you'd see anything happen in Clarington certainly within the next 5 or 10 years for sure.
So I'll have to buy my Aston Martin in the city, I guess.
Yes, I could refer you, Mike, no problem.
Okay, great, thanks. Well, thanks, Don. One last question, if I might. How has the pandemic affected your business and the auto industry in general?
You know what? We are very, very, very lucky, and because it's kind of had the opposite effect of what we thought it might be. I think with people being home and not spending money on travel and entertainment and whatnot, there's been a lot more available funds, I guess, and people to do other things. And so home improvement, recreational products, and the automobile business has been very, very good over the last 18 months. So we can't complain. The only thing we're seeing is service is slowing quite a bit because people just aren't, their service intervals are nowhere near what they used to be because they're not driving as much. But sales wise, it's been pretty good, actually.
Well, I can tell you, Don, that my Highlander is ideal for curbside pickup.
You're still doing the DoorDash with that, Mike?
Thanks, Don.
No
That was excellent. Good. Does anyone have a question for Don? Wayne, and then Chris.
Hey, Don, the chip shortage, is that impacting Toyota at all? Do you see it at the dealer level?
They say it's not. Toyota says it's not affecting them much. But our truck business is very thin right now. But most of the trucks they're still building the same numbers, but they're still in the US. So we're not getting the truck inventory that we'd like, but that will change in time. But right now it's probably the only thing that's been affected.
And the other question I have is the new parts distribution center. It's located now in the Bowmanville area. Has that impacted you in terms of any service improvements, or?
Actually, it's kind of funny because having that right up the street, we could actually take a bicycle and go pick up parts, but we're not allowed on property. We used to be able to go to Toyota in Scarborough, all of us, and pick up parts between I guess 10:30 and 1 o'clock every day. And so we get an overnight delivery. We have a transport comes and they have a key to the side of the building, and overnight they drop off parts that we ordered that day before. And then we could also go in to Scarborough into the warehouse and pick up parts every day. But there was a fatality at the Woodstock assembly plant in their parking lot. And it's because of traffic and with a tractor trailer. And since then, Toyota said no, they wouldn't allow anybody who wasn't an employee on the sites. So that eliminated our ability to pick up parts. So it is kind of funny when you tell people we can't get your parts until tomorrow, and they think, why don't you just drive up and pick them up, but we're not allowed on the site. So we just get dedicated delivery overnight now.
Thanks, Don.
Excellent. Chris.
Hey, Don, a lot of the manufacturers have, especially the new car manufacturers and dealers, you have a lot of new cars on display. And I guess my question is, do you have to buy those cars yourself, or does the manufacturer give the cars to you, and then when you sell them, you pay them off? How does that work?
No, we buy them all. Everyone that's on that lot, we buy. We buy them as they leave the assembly plant, actually. So they're and then we buy them on our wholesale lines. But yeah, we buy them all. No free inventory.
And if you don't sell the car for a couple of years, what happens? You absorb the loss, or?
Yeah, we hopefully don't ever keep them 2 years, but I guess it's happened before over the years. But we always say there's an ass for every seat, so they all sell eventually, and we've never kept one forever. So
I love it. An ass for every seat. Okay.
Good, thanks.
Excellent. Well, Don, thank you very much. And Mike, well done. You're a good interviewer. And that was a good little, was that true? You weren't joking about Watson's?
Yes, we were joking. Okay.
I don't know, Ted. Was there any truth to that, Ted?
All right. All right. Well, moving on, we've got more fun to learn about Rotarians here. Rebecca is going to tell us about her tiny house adventure that she's on. Rebecca.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Yeah, Joe had kind of just asked me to kind of go over things, so I'm happy to share. I really want to do it informally because I always get lots of questions, and it's usually the questions that drive the conversation. But I'll kind of give you a little bit of background information. So my partner, Dan, and I have been together 7 years. And in our 7 years together, we saved up a really nice chunk of money that we hoped this May we were going to buy a house. And as we all know, the pandemic happened and the market exploded. So what our little fund that took us, 5+ years to save up, it wasn't going to get us anything. And as, early 30-year-olds, we kind of have to reevaluate. What do we want? Where are we going from here? And what's important to us? And I think the pandemic really sparked that conversation even more. So a lot of you guys have seen this idea of tiny homes. It's pretty common in our age bracket, where it's a conversation that a lot of people have and say, wow, I wish I could do that. I wish one day maybe I could venture down that road. And as Joe and I have talked yesterday, there's lots of TV shows that are really interesting. And sometimes you just go down a deep, dark hole and you don't stop watching them when they're on HGTV. So this kind of sparked Dan and I to say, you know what, let's reevaluate what home means. To us, home was together. It didn't matter where we were, and it didn't matter how big the space was. So we started on this journey where we had reached out to a BC builder, and they were going to build us a tiny home, just like you see on HGTV. And of course, that means that they have to ship it to us and all that sort of stuff. So I thought I had an advantage as being a land surveyor, that it would be a lot easier to figure out how I was going to get not only this tiny home into Ontario, but how I was going to get it onto a property where I wasn't going to get a ticket from the city of Clarington. So that being said, I thought it would be easier, but it was not. And Ontario and the Ontario government is set up in a way that they're not welcoming to this type of lifestyle. There's a lot of restrictions that you need to go about to get one of these tiny homes approved by the municipality and get it on a property. And truth be told, a lot of the requirements by townships and the Ontario government shifts the home into less of its appeal of being a tiny home and more of it being a house. And in fact, increases the price for getting it. So we had a nice little sum of about $45,000 to work for. So my partner, Dan, he's at work right now, but he's always great because I think he grounds me. And he kind of turned to me and he said, well, let's reevaluate here. What What is our goal? Our goal is to be environmentally friendly. It's to be together, and it's to be out in nature. He says, why don't we reevaluate what a tiny home means? And for him, it meant buying a travel trailer and converting it into full-time use. So with the travel trailer, so I'm going to share my screen now because if that's okay, Steve.
Sure is.
Can you all see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So for Dan, what he had did his background research is that Ontario government, obviously we're huge campers in Ontario, and to take a travel trailer and to convert it into full-time use, you don't have all the legalities that you need to of a tiny home. So it's already hooked up for propane. It's already hooked up for municipal services. So this was kind of something that we had decided to do. And I'm really excited that we took this turn, because in the end, it ended up being cheaper and we were able to get it in what we consider was the ideal location. So we bought this 2013 39-foot travel trailer, and we managed to find this fantastic spot where the neighbors had just vacated and had already had a porch. And if any of you have tried to build anything of wood this year, that in itself was worth all my money, because if I were to buy have to build a deck this year, it probably would have cost $10,000 to $15,000. So we found this fantastic spot up in Burleigh Falls. So it's full of what you would consider modular homes, cottages, resorts, bunkies. So it's a bunch of community members that are very similar to us who are living off the grid. So we made this purchase in March, and then have spent the last 4 months or so, well, 3.5, almost 4 months, making it so we can live here full time. So that meant taking the power source, converting it to propane for the winter time, so we can run completely off propane, and then allowing us, so the long-term goal this year, it didn't fit in the budget, but to get the solar panels on the roof. We're fortunate enough that so there is a campground section of this where temporary campers can come and camp on the lake. And when the camping season's open, we have access to power, which is fantastic. So in the summertime, we're able to plug into municipal power. So right now we're parked up in Burleigh Falls. So if any of you know that, it's about 15 minutes from Bowmanville, north, way up towards Bancroft Way. We added holding tanks for both black water and fresh water. We added a propane stove, and we redid the cabinets to allow us to have more utilized storage. There's still a long ways to go, but I think the selling point of our location. So if you see, we back on to like a fantastic wildlife, lots of birds, lots of animals. If you see, there's a drop at the back of the property, and it drops down into a ravine. Lots of hiking trails, and on the other side of us, it's about a 2-minute walk to the lake. We're huge kayakers, so that was really important for us. So I think the big thing with this whole journey was taking a step back and saying, what do we need in order to be happy? What do we need in our home for it to be a day-to-day life? And the biggest thing that Dan kept saying to me is, where it is. I'm like, okay, but that's not inside the house. What do you need inside? And the common theme was we needed a full-size bed that didn't flip up, which was a really easy thing to make happen. So we have been gardening in the gardens. So our long-term goal is to plant a vegetable garden that we can have all of our own fruits and vegetables and live completely off the grid in that manner. And then relying on the local farms for our eggs, our milk, and that sort of thing. So inside, this is our most recent project. So this is a combination of Dan and I building our kitchen. So if you've ever been inside a trailer kitchen, you can tell right away that you're in a trailer because it's very modular. It's not meant for full-time use. And that was something that was really important for me. I love to cook. So we replaced these cabinets to have kind of an L shape without taking up too much room. So I got to bring in my propane stove. So I have a full oven, which is lovely. It's important in the wintertime. Obviously, most trailers are meant for summer use, so I obviously still need to be able to cook my meals in the wintertime, and the barbecue is not a long-term option. So we fit in a full-size stove here. We have a double sink, which was important for me, and a convection microwave, and obviously all the cabinet space, which again is really important when you only have, so this is 425 square feet. That's all I got. So every counter space, every storage space matters. And I went with this like brown wood because I thought that it blended in nicely. I find a lot of tiny homes, they're painted white, which is lovely, but I really wanted it to feel like it was a part of nature. So I went with this like darker wood aspect. So you can see these are the cabinets that I added on the left side. The right side, we haven't fully renovated. There's obviously still that ugly trailer wallpaper, which the goal this weekend is to paint. But if you go down, this is just a look from the kitchen all the way down to the end of the room. So there's the bathroom and then the bedroom. As you can see, it has the bed that doesn't fold up, which Dan was very happy about. So yes, this is one view. And you can see that he has passed out on the couch. This was right after we had finished cleaning up the yard. So he's in the back of the couch there. He's asleep. And I said, can you get out of the picture? I'm trying to take it for Rotary. And he said, they'll see the honesty of what I'm doing right now. So I left him in the picture. But you can see that the cabinets in the TV center, we added those, and underneath is a propane, like it's a gas stove. Now it runs off of propane, so it's not, we're not putting wood in it. But it would be our primary heat source, along with our, we have a heater that runs the rest of the heat for the other side of the unit. We added all the fans, and yeah, but you can see the big thing is like all the windows that are in this unit, that's what sold us, because you can see to the outside and see just how beautiful it is that you're surrounded by. We added a full-size shower. That was one of Dan's other requirements, because we are living here full-time. He did not want to be ducking and hiding, so he wanted to make sure that he could fit in, so we added that. And this is just the other view of the bathroom, and again, still all that ugly wallpaper, but we're working on changing that. And then you can see that we also added cabinets in the bedroom to utilize our storage space that matched the kitchen cabinets. So that was something that was important to me, continuity throughout the space, because it was so small. I didn't want it to feel like a bunch of different spaces that didn't match. And you can see I didn't make my bed in this picture, but we did manage to get this bed in. So it's just shy, it's called a queen short, which means it's about 3 inches shorter than an actual queen. But it is a full bed, stationary, with a brand new mattress. So we're definitely not sleeping in bunks or anything. So it's like a full size living arrangement. But that's all the pictures I got. And I kind of just wanted to open the conversation to see if anyone had any questions.
Anyone have any questions? We've got a couple of minutes here. Rebecca, this is great. I can't believe how the transformation of a trailer really doesn't look like you think a trailer, like your mind wants to go to for a trailer. It's really nice.
Thank you.
Neat idea.
I have a question, Rebecca. It looks really good, and the setting is fantastic. Is there any problem with black flies or mosquitoes? And then during the winter, are you going to have sufficient heating from propane to keep you warm in there?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So black flies are a problem. They drive me nuts, but there's not much we can do in that regard. We're exploring different planting options for the gardens that are supposed to help with bugs, mosquitoes and black flies. But it's a reality of something when you live up here, is bugs and black flies are just something you have to learn to cope with. As far as the propane goes, the propane system we installed afterwards. So the big thing with that is that the original systems that a lot of travel trailers come with are meant for cold summer nights. So you're in your travel trailer, you're going camping, and you're flicking it on to make sure that you're not going to freeze to death in the middle of the summer. The system that we installed allowed us to upgrade how much heat was the output, what the output of propane was in ratio to that heat. So it is meant, so the system that we have is just a minute version of a very similar system that would be in your home. So we're going to be more than warm in the wintertime. It will probably be too hot, which would be funny. But yeah, great question. Thanks, Chris.
Could you have a wood stove in there if you wanted to?
We opted not to have a wood stove. I have a Dachshund dog, and he's very curious. He's very small, and he loves to cuddle up near the fire. And my fear is like the coals flickering, that heat, being too close to it. And it's a huge fire hazard when you have open flame inside. We do have a fire pit, so in the wintertime we can like keep that running, and it's just, but yeah, so we opted not to have a wood burning stove, which is very popular in tiny homes.
Excellent. All right, we've got Wayne and then Lyle, and then I think we got to wrap it up.
Yeah, that's really cool, your story and what you've done, Rebecca. You have the internet, of course.
Yes, I do. I don't think Gord would let me do this move. That was his first question when I told him I was doing this and I was going to be about 50 minutes from the office. He sat me down and he said, okay, what's your internet connection? He's like, go there, call me. I want to see what you look like on the other end of the connection. No, it's fabulous because internet has come a long way, especially with COVID. I think it jump-started it. So we do have an internet solution. So it involves it's a type of satellite antenna that goes on top of the trailer, which bounces off of a USB hub inside the unit. That USB hub pings off of our phones and creates like a 5G connection. So I actually have better internet in our new home than I did when I lived in my old place in Oshawa.
Holy gee.
And for half the price. It was a lot of setup. We're still together, but it was rough when we were on that roof in March and it was freezing and we were trying to get it all set up. Yeah. We were arguing back and forth.
Excellent. And Lyle, time for one more quick one.
Rebecca, very quickly, you mentioned that you were going to put up solar panels. And with the number of trees in terms of shade and also the leaves dropping and the needles dropping, do you anticipate any issues with the efficiency of the solar panels?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It was something that we had to kind of figure out off the get-go. The major thing is that our solar panels would always be a secondary use of power. So we wouldn't be relying solely on solar panels. We do have a generator, which runs on a gasoline as a secondary form of power. And all of our electronics and so like all of our fridge or stove all runs off of propane. So really all we need electricity for is for the lights. So as a secondary use of power, it would be okay, but you're right. It's a lot of maintenance. So we'd have to be up there making sure that they're cleaned off every day. And on a rainy day, making sure the generator was on.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your time, Rebecca. That's how exciting. John, Gord said that you and he wanted to make an announcement about the district conference. Want to make a short one for us here?
Yeah. Normally district conference in person is quite expensive because you end up staying in a hotel and whatnot. This district conference is going to be virtual, and $10 is not a lot of money. You would experience great speakers and some sort of fellowship stuff as well. Steve, I had a question for you. I noticed there's at least 10 people registered. Did you manage to apply for the $500 grant?
Not yet. No.
Get it in quickly because I think they put a limit on how many people get it.
Yep. I'll figure something out today, even if I have to make up a story. So we'll do that.
Okay.
All right. It's just that easy. I'll send out a link to everyone today as well, just so it's right at the top of your inbox to apply. It's 4 hours on Saturday morning, basically, is what it is. And then there might be things on the Friday evening as well that you can opt in for, but 4 hours on Saturday morning, the 25th, I think, of June.
I think.
Excellent. I think that takes us down to the quote of the week. Phil Benner.
Okay. Today's quote comes from Oscar Wilde and is, "The smallest act of kindness is worth more than the grandest intention."
Well, thank you, Phil. Well, another great meeting. We learned a lot about Rotarians and a little bit about gardening. If there's nothing else for the good of Rotary, Pauline, are you waving goodbye? Nope.
Oh,
No.
I just wanted to remind everyone that our next meeting is the evening meeting. And Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve Burnett, but I think you have till the end of the day to order your snacks for the evening, the picnic evening.
Correct. We have 8 couples so far have ordered. Yeah, Rachel, Pauline, Linda, Roy, Joe, Leanna, Amy, and of course myself.
Oh, come on, guys, that's not a very big picnic. Get your
Sorry,
orders
how
in.
do we, and do we e-transfer you, Steve?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, Steve, know that I'd be signing up for it, but I'm going to be taking that meeting at probably at McMullen's Irish Pub in Las Vegas. So
We could bring the picnic there.
all right. Okay. Well, I think that's about it. If there's nothing else now, remember the things that you say and you do are 4-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Have a fantastic week, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Great meetings.